There's a kind of prayer you've probably never done for your children. Not because you don't love them, not because you lack faith, but because somewhere along the way, the ancient pattern was forgotten. You've asked Yahweh to protect them. You've prayed for wisdom, for peace, for safety. You've whispered their names in the dark, hoping heaven would hear. But what if love and prayer alone aren't the whole story? What if the reason your son feels lost, your daughter anxious, your home heavy and silent at night, isn't because Yahweh has turned his face away, but because you've been taught to ask when you were meant to release? For over 3,000 years, every Friday night, Jewish fathers have done something that most Christian families have abandoned. They don't simply pray for their children, they bless them. They stand as priests in their own homes, lay their hands gently on the heads of their sons and daughters, and speak destiny into the air. They call it Birkat Habanim, the blessing of the children. And the sages of Israel teach that when a father blesses his child in the name of Yahweh, heaven opens. A spiritual channel is carved between the divine and the human, between the eternal covenant and the fragile heart of a child. It's not superstition, it's structure. It's the architecture of creation responding to words spoken with authority. Yeshua received this blessing as a boy in Nazareth. Every apostle grew under the echo of those same words. Every believer in the early church knew it by heart. But somewhere between the fire of Pentecost and the quiet classrooms of modern religion, it was forgotten. The sacred act of blessing, not just praying, but declaring, faded from memory. And the enemy smiled because he knows what we surrendered. We stopped using one of the oldest weapons of light. We stopped naming our children before the world did. And that's why so many sons and daughters walk today without direction. They are surrounded by noise but starving for identity. They wear crosses on their necks but carry confusion in their souls. Because no one ever stood before them in the authority of Yahweh and said, "You are chosen. You are His. You carry His name." Tonight, that changes. If your heart is stirring right now, if something inside you whispers that this message is for you, pause this moment and do something sacred. Type the name of your child in the comments below. If you don't have children, write the name of someone who needs to be covered. A nephew, a friend, a soul adrift. Write their name as an act of faith, and when you type it, whisper this out loud. This one belongs to Yahweh. Because when you name them before heaven, you place them under divine memory. Heaven records the names that are spoken with faith. And while you're here, don't just watch, participate. If these teachings stir your spirit, if you long to recover the ancient power that transforms homes and generations, click subscribe and ring the bell. That small act of obedience is how you stand with us in restoring the forgotten truths of the covenant. You're not supporting a channel. You're joining a movement of awakening, a return to the ways of light, to the Hebrew paths that once shaped apostles, prophets, and fathers of faith. Now close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're home on a quiet evening, the lights dim, your children before you, restless, unaware of what's about to happen. You place your hands on their heads, trembling at first, and your voice, uncertain, breaks the silence. You don't ask Yahweh for anything. You declare. You speak as one standing between heaven and earth. You say, "Yahweh, let your face shine upon this child. Let peace, strength, and light dwell in their heart. Seal them in your covenant." And in that moment, something unseen happens. The room shifts. A presence fills the air. It's not emotion, it's alignment. Because you've stepped into a role older than kings, the priest of your own household. Do you understand the weight of that? From the beginning, Yahweh never meant for the priesthood to belong only to temples and robes. He intended it to live in homes, in fathers, in mothers, in anyone who carries His name. When you speak blessing with authority, you're not sending words into the air. You're shaping spiritual architecture, engraving identity onto souls that will one day carry your legacy. That's why the rabbis say that when a father blesses his child, the echo reaches heaven and returns as protection. Angels respond to the pattern of those words. Light travels through bloodlines, cleansing what generations forgot. And when Yeshua blessed the children brought before him, he wasn't performing a ritual. He was restoring this very pattern. He was saying to every future believer, this is how the kingdom passes from one generation to the next. But somehow we replaced that power with sentiment. We started praying for our children instead of speaking over them. We asked Yahweh to fix what he already gave us the authority to bless. We became beggars in the place where we were meant to be builders. If you've ever felt that your prayers for your children hit a ceiling, that you've cried and seen no change, maybe the heavens aren't closed, maybe they're waiting for you to speak differently. This is not about eloquence. It's not about being religious. It's about standing where Abraham stood, where Jacob stood, where every father of faith once stood, between the promise and the next generation, and saying, as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh. So before this night ends, make a decision. Don't just pray for your children. Bless them, not out of fear, but out of faith, not because they've earned it, but because they need it. Every name you wrote below this video, speak it now with conviction. Call that name before Yahweh. Say it like you're carving it into eternity. Because when you bless, you're not just asking heaven to move, you're opening the gates of legacy. And as we step deeper into this revelation, remember this truth. You were never meant to be a spectator in your family's story. You were meant to be a priest. You were meant to be a voice that heaven recognizes. So breathe, prepare your heart, and get ready. Because in the next moments, we will uncover the mystery hidden in the Hebrew words that have carried families through exile, war, and resurrection for 3 millennia. And when you speak them, really speak them, something ancient will awaken in your home. The ancient words were not written as poetry. They were given as a command, a formula, a divine pattern. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Those lines in Numbers 6:24-26 are not a priest's invention. They are Yahweh's own instruction to his servants. The Hebrew text does not simply say, pray for them. It says, speak these words over them. The difference may seem small, but in the spirit, it changes everything. When you speak with Yahweh's authority rather than to him for permission, you are acting as his partner in creation. The blessing begins with a word that in Hebrew means to kneel, a sign of humility and honor. When a father or mother blesses their child, they do not stand above them with superiority. They kneel in the spirit, acknowledging that they are a channel, not the source. The phrase, Yahweh bless you and keep you, means more than protect. It means cause divine energy to flow toward you, to surround you, to preserve your essence. The next line, Yahweh make his face shine upon you, is not about sunlight. It is about intimacy. In Hebrew thought, the face of Yahweh represents his presence, his awareness, his attention. When his face shines upon someone, it means that his gaze, his approval, his life force are turned toward that person. And when the verse says, be gracious to you, the original word means to bend in favor, like a king leaning down to lift a child who fell. Then comes the phrase, Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you. To lift his face is to acknowledge, to affirm identity. In ancient culture, when a father raised his eyes to a child, it was a sign of recognition. It meant, I see you, you belong to me. And finally, and give you peace. But in Hebrew, peace is shalom, and shalom means more than the absence of conflict. It means wholeness, harmony, alignment with divine order. It means every part of your being, body, mind, and spirit, restored to its original design. So when a father speaks this blessing over a child, he is not asking for comfort. He is invoking divine order upon chaos, calling every fragmented part of that life into alignment with heaven. The sages say that the power of this blessing is not in the tone, not in the language, but in the obedience to the pattern. Yahweh told Moses, thus you shall bless the children of Israel, and I will bless them. That means the priests did not create the blessing. They activated it. They spoke what Yahweh already intended to do, and heaven responded to their voice. In the same way, when a believer speaks these words over their child today, they are not performing an ancient ritual. They are reactivating a spiritual law written into the fabric of creation. The rabbis teach that each line of the blessing corresponds to one aspect of divine covering. The first, Yahweh bless you and keep you, covers the body, the material life, the protection of the physical realm. The second, make his face shine upon you, covers the soul, the emotional and mental dimension, the awareness of being loved and seen. The third, lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, covers the spirit, the eternal connection with the Creator, the inner alignment that cannot be shaken. It is a complete circle: protection, grace, and peace. Body, soul, and spirit. The Hebrew world calls it shalom, wholeness. Now imagine the scene 3,000 years ago. The temple courtyard glows with the last light of sunset. The priests, clothed in white linen, raise their hands over the people. Their fingers form the ancient sign that symbolizes the letter Shin, the first letter of Shaddai, one of Yahweh's holy names. As their voices rise, the air itself seems to hum with power. The people below bow their heads, but they are not simply hearing words. They are standing beneath a living current of divine presence. The blessing is not just sound, it is substance. It moves through generations like a river of light. That same current still exists. The pattern never expired. It only went dormant in hearts that forgot. But when you, as a parent or guardian, speak these words, you step into that priestly stream. You become a vessel of transmission, carrying the same authority once held by Aaron and his sons. You are invoking Yahweh's name over your household. In Hebrew thought, invoking the name means invoking his nature, his power, his ownership. When you say, Yahweh bless you, you are saying, let everything that he is flow toward you. That is not symbolic. It is covenantal. Heaven recognizes those words and responds because they bear his signature. In ancient Israel, a father's blessing had legal weight. It was not sentimental. It was binding. When Jacob blessed his sons before dying, he was not merely giving advice. He was declaring destiny. Those words shaped tribes, land, and legacy. The same spiritual law still operates. What a parent declares in faith sets boundaries in the invisible world. When you speak fear, you release fear. When you speak blessing, you build walls of light. That's why Yahweh commands words of blessing, not wishes. Because the tongue is a gate, and the covenant flows through sound. When Yeshua walked the earth, he restored this pattern in flesh and blood. The Gospels say people brought their children to him, and he placed his hands on them and blessed them. The Greek word used there, eulogeo, means to speak well of, to invoke divine favor with authority. Yeshua didn't pray for them. He blessed them. He invoked identity. He reawakened what generations had lost. He looked into the eyes of the small and forgotten and said, you belong to the kingdom. That's the essence of the Hebrew blessing. It restores identity before it asks for anything else. This is why, for centuries, Jewish parents would gather their families every Sabbath Eve, place their hands on their children, and repeat these same words. For sons, may Yahweh make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. For daughters, may Yahweh make you like Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. Then they would recite the priestly blessing of number 6. Why Ephraim and Manasseh? Because those two boys were born in Egypt, to a Hebrew father and an Egyptian mother. They lived between two worlds, one covenantal, one pagan. Their identity was uncertain until Jacob laid his hands on them and blessed them. In that moment, they received a name, a place, and a destiny. The blessing pulled them out of confusion and anchored them in divine identity. Do you see the prophetic depth? Your children are growing up in a modern Egypt, surrounded by false gods, distorted identities, and voices that tell them who they are not. The world is loud, defining them before you do. But Yahweh has given you the same authority Jacob carried. You can lay your hands upon your children and say, You are not what the world calls you. You are what Yahweh has spoken. You are chosen, holy, beloved, sealed. Every time you declare those words, the heavens record them, and the enemy's grip weakens. The Hebrew fathers understood something we have almost forgotten. Words create worlds. The Creator formed the universe with speech, and He made humanity in His image, capable of shaping reality with words. To bless is to build. To curse is to tear down. When Yahweh instructed the priests to bless Israel, He was teaching a law of resonance. Whatever you release through your mouth in alignment with His nature becomes reality in the spiritual realm. That's why this blessing is not a ritual, it's architecture. You are not merely praying, you are constructing identity through sound and faith. And now you begin to understand why the enemy fought to erase this practice. Because if fathers and mothers rediscover their priestly voice, the next generation will no longer be defined by confusion, but by covenant. The family altar will burn again. The sound of blessing will once more echo through the night, sealing sons and daughters under the light of Yahweh's face. This is the mystery hidden in the ancient tongue of Israel, the power that has outlived empires, the whisper that still carries through the walls of Jerusalem. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Those words are not history, they are inheritance. The revelation means nothing if it remains theory. Knowledge becomes transformation only when it is lived, spoken, and embodied. For generations, people have prayed for change while leaving untouched the power that could have brought it. Yahweh's design was never for faith to remain intellectual. It was meant to be incarnational, alive in your hands, your words, your breath. The Hebrew blessing is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual law waiting for activation. It begins not in temples, not in pulpits, but in your living room, at your dinner table, in the quiet of your child's bedroom when the lights go out and the world goes silent. To release blessing, you must first prepare an atmosphere. Holiness is not about incense or ritual, it's about focus. Before you speak, take a moment to silence the noise. Turn off your phone, dim the lights, breathe deeply. Let your heart remember that you stand before Yahweh, the same God who spoke light into darkness and called the stars by name. The authority you carry as a believer does not come from how spiritual you feel. It comes from who He says you are. You are not just a parent. You are a priest of your household, a bridge between heaven and earth. When you speak, you are not offering opinions. You are releasing covenantal energy. Now, gather your children, or if they are far away, call their names aloud. Don't rush. The act itself is sacred. Place your hand gently on their head or over their shoulders. If they are asleep, speak over them quietly. The Spirit hears even when the body rests. Begin not with demands or correction, but with affirmation. The Hebrew fathers never used blessings as moments of control or moral lectures. They used them as declarations of identity. So do not say, "I bless you so you'll behave better." Say instead, "I bless you because you are loved by Yahweh, chosen for His purposes, and set apart for light." You are not trying to manipulate behavior, you are confirming destiny. Then, when you feel the peace settle, speak the words of Numbers 6:24-26 slowly, not as a recitation, but as a living decree. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Imagine those words like threads of light weaving around them, protection, grace, and divine order. As you speak, picture Yahweh's presence filling the room, embracing the one you bless. The ancient rabbis believed that when the blessing was spoken, angels would surround the family to carry the words upward, and the divine name would rest upon that household. You don't have to understand how. You only have to believe that Yahweh's pattern still works because His nature has never changed. You might feel awkward the first time. That's normal. Modern life has trained us to keep the spiritual and the personal separated, as if blessing belongs only in synagogues or churches. But the truth is, the home was always meant to be the first temple. When you bless your children, You are re-establishing what the world has broken, the sacredness of family. You are telling heaven, this house is under covenant. You are telling your children, you belong to something eternal. Do not underestimate what consistent blessing can do. Words spoken with faith create invisible architecture, boundaries that darkness cannot cross. The key is consistency. Choose a moment in your week and make it sacred. The traditional time is Friday evening, marking the beginning of the Sabbath, but it can be any time that your family gathers. The important thing is rhythm. Repetition builds spiritual memory. When your children begin to expect the blessing, something powerful happens. They start to anticipate grace. Their spirits align with peace before chaos even tries to enter. And over time, the words you speak will carve identity deeper than any lesson, sermon, or rule ever could. The enemy fears this practice not because it's religious, but because it's effective. It plants truth in the soil of the soul before lies can take root. If your children are grown or distant, do not think it's too late. Speak their names aloud. Bless them in absentia. The spiritual realm has no distance. You can even write their names in a journal and declare the blessing over each one. The sound of your voice in faith still reaches Yahweh's throne. And if you have no children, bless the next generation around you, your students, your community, those who are spiritually entrusted to you. The principle is the same. Whenever you speak blessing in Yahweh's name, you build light in places that have forgotten it. One of the greatest secrets the sages taught is that blessing others also transforms the one who blesses. When you speak identity over your child, you remember your own. Every word you release comes back as a mirror, reminding you of who you are in Him. That's why parents who bless consistently often find their own faith renewed. They begin to see the world differently, not as random chaos, but as divine order unfolding through obedience. They begin to understand what Scripture means when it says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. The blessing is not just for them, it's for you. If you want to deepen this practice, integrate it into your prayers. Before meals, after school, at night, in times of fear, speak the same words. They never lose their strength. The Hebrew letters themselves carry power. When you say, Yahweh bless you, you are invoking the sacred tetragrammaton, the name above names, the vibration of creation itself. That sound carries authority that no darkness can withstand. You are aligning your speech with the original word that birthed the universe. Over time, your home will change. You will notice peace where there was tension. You will sense an atmosphere of safety, not because everything is perfect, but because Yahweh's presence has been invited consistently. Your children will walk differently. They will begin to internalize the truth of who they are. They will make choices that reflect identity instead of insecurity. They will understand that blessing is not about deserving, it's about belonging. And when they fail, as all of us do, your words of blessing will remind them that grace is greater than shame. There is also a practical side to this. The more you bless, the less you criticize. The more you declare identity, the less you feel the need to control. Blessing shifts your perspective from fixing to forming, from anxiety to trust. It trains your spirit to see as Yahweh sees, not through performance, but through purpose. This is how faith becomes tangible. Every time you bless, you are rehearsing the truth of the covenant, that Yahweh's favor is not earned, but inherited. That is what it means to live under grace. I want you to make a declaration right now. In the comments below, write this phrase, "My words carry Yahweh's authority." Write it as a confession of faith, a reminder that your tongue is not powerless. Then say it aloud until it sinks deep into your heart. You are not a spectator in your family's story. You are an instrument of divine alignment. When you speak, the spiritual atmosphere listens. The ancient rabbis taught that the universe itself was created to respond to the voice of those who bear Yahweh's image. When you speak blessing, creation obeys. Don't wait for perfection. Start tonight. It doesn't matter if you stumble over the words or feel unsure. What matters is that you begin. The blessing gains strength with use, like a muscle exercised in faith. The first time may feel small, but heaven records it. Angels lean closer. Yahweh smiles because a son or daughter has remembered the ancient way. In time, your children will remember it too. And one day, they will place their hands on the heads of their own sons and daughters and speak the same words you once struggled to say. That's how legacy is born. Not through wealth or talent, but through covenant spoken with love. Remember, this is not performance. It's participation. You are not repeating ancient Hebrew for nostalgia's sake. You are stepping into an unbroken stream of light that began with Abraham, passed through Moses, resonated through Yeshua, and now flows through you. When you bless your children, you join that lineage. You carry forward the same divine impulse that created the world, the will to speak life where there is none. That is what it means to be in Yahweh's image. And when you finish the blessing, don't rush away. Stay in the silence that follows. That silence is holy. It's the moment heaven seals what you've declared. It's the space where grace takes root. Sometimes your child may cry. Sometimes you will. That's not emotion. It's recognition. The soul knows when it's been seen by its maker. The Hebrew blessing is not magic. It's memory. The memory of what humanity was always meant to be. A family held together by divine speech and love. So tonight, reclaim your voice. Reclaim your priesthood. Reclaim the atmosphere of your home. Let your words become bridges between what is and what will be. Because Yahweh has already given you everything you need. He gave you His name. He gave you His word. All that's left is for you to speak it. The moment you do, heaven listens. And when heaven listens, earth begins to change. There comes a moment in every revelation when knowledge must become action, when truth stops being something you admire and becomes something you live. This is that moment. You have heard the history. You have felt the weight of the Hebrew blessing that has traveled through centuries of faith, from Abraham to Moses, from Jacob to Yeshua, from ancient synagogues to quiet living rooms today. The question is no longer whether it works. The question is whether you will use it. Because the same power that opened seas and healed nations now waits for the sound of your voice. You see, Yahweh never stopped blessing His people. It was humanity that stopped speaking His words. We built churches and forgot the table. We wrote theology and lost the touch of a hand resting on a child's head. We sang songs of revival while our families silently withered under the noise of the world. But Yahweh is calling His people back to simplicity, to covenant, to the holy intimacy of family. The ancient blessing was never about religion. It was about relationship, about identity, about remembering who you are and to whom you belong. The same voice that told Abraham to look at the stars and count his descendants is the same voice whispering to you now. Begin again. Think of the power hidden in those words. The Creator of the universe entrusted humanity with His own language of blessing. He could have kept it for angels, but He gave it to you. When you speak the words of Numbers 6, when you say, Yahweh bless you and keep you, you are not repeating history. You are participating in it. You are stepping into the stream of divine authority that has never dried. You are becoming part of a pattern that sustains the world. And when you do it with faith, the invisible becomes visible, and heaven draws near. I have seen this truth transform homes. I've watched fathers who hadn't prayed in years begin to bless their children and see walls of resentment crumble overnight. I've seen mothers who felt powerless stand in the authority of Yahweh and watch depression lift from their sons and daughters like fog before the sun. I've seen grandparents bless their grandchildren and ignite something that medicine and counseling could not. Because blessing is not therapy, it's spiritual technology. It operates in the unseen dimension where identity is formed. It speaks to the spirit, not the behavior. It calls forth destiny, not perfection. And it always, always releases peace. Perhaps you doubt that your words could matter. Maybe you've been told that you don't have the right, that only pastors or priests carry authority. But Yahweh never said that. The scripture calls you a royal priesthood, a holy nation. That's not poetry. That's identity. When you received His Spirit, you were given access to His name. And with His name comes the power to speak as His representative. The moment you said yes to Yeshua, you became part of a family where every believer is both son and priest. That means your voice carries weight in heaven. It means your words, spoken in faith, can shift the atmosphere around you. If you could see what happens in the Spirit when you bless your child, you would never stop. Light moves, angels take position, darkness withdraws. The name of Yahweh covers that child like a mantle, and their identity is sealed afresh. The world spends billions teaching children who they are not. You can undo that in a single moment of covenant speech, because when you name your children under Yahweh's authority, no other name can redefine them. That's why the enemy fights so hard to keep your home silent. He knows that a silent priesthood is a defeated generation. But once a mother or father remembers their voice, hell loses jurisdiction. This is why I believe this message has reached you now. It's not coincidence. It's calling. You are part of a divine restoration, a movement of parents, guardians, and believers reclaiming their spiritual authority. The Hebrew blessing is not a relic from the past. It is a key to the future. Every generation that forgets it drifts into confusion. Every generation that rediscovers it walks in peace. You can be the turning point. You can be the bridge between what was lost and what will be renewed. You can speak life where your ancestors fell silent. That is legacy. That is worship. That is priesthood. Now I want you to do something tangible. Look around your home. See it not as ordinary walls and furniture, but as sacred space. This is your temple. This is your altar. The covenant begins here. Tonight, before you sleep, call the names of those you love. Speak the blessing aloud. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Do not whisper. Declare. Let your words fill the room until the air itself feels different. And then watch what happens in the days ahead. You will sense peace where anxiety once lived, harmony where conflict used to rise. You will feel your own heart changing, growing gentler, stronger, more aligned with Yahweh's heartbeat. That's what blessing does. It transforms the blesser as much as the blessed. And when you've spoken the blessing, I want you to mark this moment. In the comments below, write the names of your children, your family, or anyone who needs to be covered by Yahweh's presence. Let this comment section become a living altar, a digital sanctuary filled with names that heaven will not forget. As you type each name, speak it aloud and say, "This one belongs to Yahweh." Watch how faith multiplies when hundreds of parents, believers, and seekers declare identity in unity. It's not about going viral, it's about building spiritual legacy. Now, if your heart desires to go deeper, if you want to understand the roots, the meanings, the sacred patterns that lie beneath these teachings, I've prepared something special for you. It's called the Jewish Wisdom eBook, a companion guide that expands what you've just learned. Inside, you'll find ancient insights from the Torah, the Psalms, and the wisdom of the sages, explained in language you can live by. You'll learn how to apply spiritual laws of blessing, order, and divine timing in your daily life. You'll discover how Hebrew concepts like shalom, hesed, grace, and emunah, faith, operate not as theories, but as forces that shape your world. This is not a book of theology. It's a manual for transformation. If you'd like to receive it, simply write in the comments, "I want the Jewish Wisdom eBook." My team and I will see it, and we'll make sure you get access. Many who have read it describe it not as information, but as revelation, a doorway into understanding how the same spiritual DNA that guided Israel can guide your life today. It's for those who don't want to live on borrowed faith, but to walk in the ancient rhythm of blessing and divine alignment. As we close this message, let me leave you with one truth that could change how you see yourself forever. You were never meant to survive this world. You were meant to shape it. The power of speech that created light still lives in you. Every blessing you speak echoes through eternity. Every word of life you release carries Yahweh's breath. You are His image on earth, His vessel of continuity, His living covenant with the next generation. So speak with courage, speak with faith, speak knowing that heaven listens when you do. And when you finish watching this video, don't just move on to the next thing. Take 5 minutes, close your eyes, picture your family, your children, your home. See Yahweh's light covering them, the same light that hovered over the waters in the beginning. Then say aloud, even if it's just a whisper, "As for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh." That single declaration is enough to realign the spiritual order of your home. Because Yahweh honors those who remember His ways. If this message touched you, if you feel that something ancient has been reignited in your spirit, share it. Not for algorithms, but for souls. Someone you know is praying for their children right now, not realizing that what they need is not another prayer, but a blessing. Be the one who brings that revelation to them. And together, let's rebuild the altars of our generation, one home at a time. This is your moment to return to the ancient path. The same words that carried Israel through wilderness and exile are now entrusted to you. Use them, live them, speak them. Because every time you bless, you echo Yahweh's original act of creation, light emerging from darkness. The blessing is not just tradition, it is transformation. The blessing is not history, it is your inheritance. And when you claim it, when you speak it with faith and love, you awaken a power that has never stopped working. So write the names, speak the words, and if you want to go deeper, ask for the Jewish Wisdom eBook in the comments. Let this be the night you decide that silence will no longer define your home. The voice of blessing has returned. The priesthood of believers is rising again. And through your words, through your faith, through your courage to act, the face of Yahweh will once again shine upon your house. Shalom.